The NBA has been dominating the American market for a very long time. Their history is not defined by time, but rather by the greatest rivalries known in sports, which shaped players like Michael Jordan into who he is today. In this video, we'll talk about the top 10 biggest rivalries in the NBA. Let's get into it. First is the rivalry between the New York Knicks versus Baltimore Bullets. The Boston Celtics have always dominated the early era, but as time progressed, other competitors showed up, aka the New York Knicks and Baltimore Bullets. The powerhouses these two teams would become was pretty obvious by the time they went head-to-head in the 1969 NBA playoffs. The Knicks had Willis Reed, Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley, and Walt Clyde Frazier as a point guard, whose exploits are considered legendary, while the Bullets had Elvin Hayes on the front line, the powerful Wes Unseld, and an exceptional ball-handling guard in Earl the Pearl Monroe. So it's safe to say the lineup was no joke. The Knicks dominated the first playoff series by a score of 4-0. They also won in 1970, this time barely scraping the win by a 4-3 series. The same year, they defeated the Los Angeles Lakers, who would later go on to become a team not to be messed with, and won their first NBA title. But in the face of adversity, the Bullets could either give up or persevere and come on top. They chose the second option, because in 1971, the Bullets were unstoppable. They swept the floor by winning the first 6 games in their home and winning their 7th in New York. Unfortunately, the Bullets couldn't take the trophy home because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Milwaukee Bucks had a firm hold on it. Frazier and Monroe were a spitting image of each other. However, in 1972, when the Knicks acquired Monroe, the combined strength of them both was too much to handle. Next is the Boston Celtics versus Philadelphia 76ers. The flames of this rivalry were sparked when the two teams met the Eastern Conference halls. Both teams went neck and neck for 7 games. The 7th game in the series was the most intense, giving the fans a bang for their buck. The score was 110-109 in favor of the Celtics, but in the last few seconds, when the Sixers tried to score a winning inbound, it was deflected by John Havlicek to teammate Sam Jones, and the Celtics emerged victorious. That series is still remembered as Havlicek stole the ball. The Celtics later won the NBA title. However, the Celtics' luck ran out after many victories in 1967. Led by Wilt Chamberlain, the 76ers were something else. They took first place in the Eastern Division with a record of 68-13. They also defeated the Celtics in 5 games and later grabbed the NBA championship title after winning against the San Francisco Warriors. This rivalry went on a hiatus but was later rekindled in 1977. Moving on is the rivalry between Michael Jordan versus Isiah Thomas. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of the NBA or not. Everyone knows who Michael Jordan is. Like every player, Jordan started off as a rookie, but Jordan kicked off his MVP career with an intense rivalry that fans still talk about. This ability was evident when he went to the All-Star game in 1985. During that time, the Detroit Pistons was led by Chicagoan Isiah Thomas, who had little use for Michael Jordan. A big mistake on Isiah's part. Their heated rivalry began when Thomas's freeze Jordan out conspiracy, which gave Jordan low opportunities, was found. Every time the Pistons and Bulls met, the fans would experience a spectacle because of how intense the games would be. Thomas's guard abilities were well known, but his career could never compete with Jordan's. Jordan finally got his revenge when Isiah was held off from the 1992 U.S. Olympics Dream Team. Sadly, unlike most professional rivalries, Jordan and Isiah did not end up on friendly terms even after their careers ended. Coming up is Detroit Pistons versus Chicago Bulls. Let's talk more in detail about Jordan's rivalry. The cause for the rivalry was the Eastern Conference superiority in the late 1980s and early 1990s, because by that time, Michael Jordan was a force to be recognized. In the early years, the bad boys from Detroit imposed the Jordan rules. The rule of thumb here was to have the other Bulls take the most important shorts. Initially, this worked as the Pistons beat the Bulls in a total of 11 games from 1988 to 1990. However, their luck soon ran out because Jordan, being who he was, and his team adapted and improvised and eventually came out on top in 1991. They beat the Pistons in a series of 4 games. Isiah and his team refused to shake the hands of the Bulls at the end of the game, further igniting their ill feelings. Later, the Chicago Bulls won their championship by beating the Lakers in the NBA Finals. Next up is Larry Bird versus Julius Erving. When Larry Bird joined the Celtics, their general manager, Red Auerbach, saw that Bird was destined for greatness and could really boost his team's standings. At the same time, Erving joined the 76ers, which enabled them to raise their performances too. Now, two players with great skill sets in different teams are bound to clash, which is what happened with these two. II. Bird and Dr. J clashed many times, but the rivalry wasn't all anger and enmity. It was also built upon mutual respect between the two. Their skills and prowess were a match, and this showed in the matches they played against each other. Some were tied at 12-12, while in the others, Birds' Celtics had a slight advantage of 2 to 3 points. Nevertheless, both men led respectable careers. Moving on is the rivalry between Phil Jackson and Pat Riley. That's enough talk about players and teams in general. Let's move on to the real source of strength for a team, its coaches. Although Phil Jackson and Pat Riley didn't make too much noise when they were players themselves, their exceptional careers started after they became coaches. Riley led the Los Angeles Lakers to 4 NBA titles in 1981. He later led Miami Heat to another title in 2006. Jackson won a total of 11 championship titles, 6 as a head coach for the Chicago Bulls and 5 for the Lakers. This feat surpassed Red Auerbach, who won 9 titles as head coach of the Boston Celtics. Both coaches led almost similar careers in terms of their achievements, and the rivalry was based on their mutual respect for each other, as both expressed how the other inspired them to put in more effort to gain an edge. Coming up is the Chicago Bulls versus New York Knicks. The Chicago Bulls had many rivals during the Michael Jordan era, and the New York Knicks were one of them. Between 1989 and 1995, they clashed a total of 6 times, and of those 6, the Bulls stayed on top. That doesn't mean that the Knicks were an easy team. Not at all. In fact, most of the time, it was Michael's prowess and strategies that enabled the Bulls to win the games. One thing where the Knicks didn't back down was their stubbornness. They stayed patient and kept honing their skills. Their victory came in the 1994 playoffs when Jordan had left to pursue baseball. He later came back even stronger. The Knicks' performance was amazing in that series, but they lost to the Houston Rockets in the finals. Coming up, there is Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. Larry Bird makes another appearance. This time, it was with Magic Johnson. It all started in the 1979 NCAA championship game, where Johnson's Spartans got the better of Birds' Sycamores. After that, it was a showdown between Birds' Celtics and Johnson's Lakers. In 1984, they fought their first championship match, and the Celtics emerged victorious. The following year's title was taken by the Lakers, where they competed with the Celtics again. Their last confrontation was in 1987, when the Lakers took the crown. While locking heads in their heated battles in court, they became close friends towards the end of their careers. Finishing this video up, we have the Boston Celtics versus Los Angeles Lakers. The Celtics have met the Lakers in the finals 12 times, which is a record in the NBA. Both teams' rivalry goes way back. The Lakers have had players from the likes of Bill Russell, Larry Bird, and John Havlicek, along with other Hall of Fame legends, while the Celtics have had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Brian Scott, Kobe Bryant, and many other world-class players. So it's safe to say these teams were no joke. The Celtics took the crown the first 8 times, but the Lakers have won the remaining 3 out of 4 championship matches. The Celtics dominated the Lakers at the start, but since 1985, both teams hang on a balance that tips on either side repeatedly. This rivalry still exists to this day, and although both teams are struggling in the face of the new era, the Boston-Los Angeles championship confrontation is the stuff of legends. That's a wrap for this video. See you at the next one.